I know summer just started, and most folks are firing up the grill or eating salads, but me, I'm eating soup all year round, every single day of the week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this is Banh, or tapioca noodle soup with shrimp. This is one of my favorite childhood Vietnamese noodle soups. It's so incredibly comforting, the noodles are unlike anything you've ever had, and it's surprisingly easy to make. Alright, chill. Remember to wash your hands. Now the first thing we're going to do is build the base of our soup. So I have 4 pounds of pork bones, and it's a combination of neck, knuckles, and marrow bones. We're going to parboil them for about 5 minutes, as this will help remove the impurities from the bones, giving us a stock that's light and clean. After 5 minutes, we'll drain the bones and give ourselves a little facial, and then we'll rinse them with cold water to remove any remaining debris. Now for this recipe, you can really use any kind of pork bones you like, including spare ribs, pork hocks, or whatever you want. But the combination of neck, knuckles, and marrow bones will give us a light and silky broth that's full of depth, flavor, and collagen. And after you're done scrubbing the pork bones, make sure you wash the pot too. To the clean pot, we'll fill it up with 6 quarts of water, and we'll bring that up to a boil. And while the water is coming up to temp, I have a half cup of dried shrimp that we're gonna soak in room temperature water for 5 to 10 minutes to rehydrate, and then we'll drain it. Then for aromatics, I have a yellow onion that we'll cut in half and peel away the outer layer. Next, I have a medium daikon that we'll peel and cut into about 2-inch pieces. Then we'll repeat that step with 2 large carrots. And you already know, anytime we have daikon or carrots, we have to pay the root veggie tax. And I don't know about your dogs, but my boyos absolutely love daikon. And in general, they're so food motivated that they always hover around me when I'm cooking, hoping to get some little treats. Now with all of that done, we'll add the cleaned pork to the pot. Drop in the rehydrated dried shrimp, the yellow onion, daikon, and carrots. We're gonna bring this back up to a rolling boil, skim off any impurities that rises to the top, and then we'll lower the heat, put the lid on with a slight crack, and we'll let this gently simmer for about 2 hours. And you'll want to make sure that this doesn't come back up to a boil, as that harsher cooking temp will result in a cloudy and milky broth instead of it being light and clean. Now after 2 hours, the aromatics have done their job and imparted the stock with all their flavor, so we're gonna pull it out before it has a chance to dissolve into the broth. And this will just ensure that our broth continues to be light. Don't discard the carrots or daikon though, just set them aside for now as they can be served in the final product. And if you like this recipe and you want to learn how to make more of your favorite Vietnamese and Asian dishes, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay up to date on all my latest posts. Then with the rest of the pork bones, we're gonna let this continue to simmer covered for another 2 hours to extract all that flavor. And periodically, just make sure you skim off any impurities too. Now while the pork stock continues to vibe out, we're gonna prep all of our toppings and garnishes. So first I have a white onion that we'll cut in half along the grain. Cut the tops off while leaving the root end on, so that we have a little handle to hold while we cut it. Peel the outer layer, and then using your fingernail as a guide, we'll cut the onion as thinly as possible into little half-moon slices. Now with raw onions, you can serve it just as is, but I like soaking in cold water for 5 minutes as this reduces some of that raw onion bite, making it more palatable. Then I have some green onions and cilantro, and we'll just finely chop both of that up to use as a garnish later. Moving on to the shrimp, I have 2 pounds of black tiger prawns that I picked up from Whole Foods, and these were on sale today and they come already cleaned and shelled with just the little tail still on it. So if you're using whole shrimp, just make sure you process it before you cook it. Now to a large pan on high heat, we'll add a couple tablespoons of annatto seed oil. And this is just a neutral oil that I steeped with annatto seeds to impart its orange color, and it doesn't really have any flavor. So feel free to sub this out with any oil you'd like if you don't have it. We'll add the shrimp into a pan and let that sear for a minute. Then season the shrimp simply with half a teaspoon of salt, a quarter teaspoon of white pepper, and a pinch of MSG. Give that a toss to combine, and we'll continue to cook it for just another minute or two until it's mostly cooked through. Remove the shrimp from the heat and let the residual heat finish cooking it through, and we'll set that aside for now. And then finally, back to the pork stock that's been simmering away for a total of 4 hours now, we'll remove all the pork bones and any remaining bits from the pot. And with the pork neck bones, you'll want to save that so you can pick out the tender little pieces of meat still attached to it. Now what you should be left with is a really light and clean pork broth that looks like this. And optionally, you can filter this through a fine mesh strainer to pick up any little bits still floating in the stock. Then to season it, we're going to use 3 tablespoons of deer mumfish sauce, and a tablespoon of MSG. And with any of my recipes, I always recommend seasoning to taste, as taste is subjective and everyone has their own preferences. So feel free to add more fish sauce or salt. And I do think that the carrots and daikon give it a natural sweetness that's subtle and pleasant, but if you grew up eating southern Vietnamese food, you could also add more sugar. And with all of that done, let's finally put our bowl of banh together. Now we'll ladle some of our soup into a separate smaller pot. And then to that, I just have some pre-made frozen shrimp balls, and we'll add that to the pot as well. Then for our banh noodles, I'm using this package today, and these noodles are made with rice flour and tapioca starch, and they're sometimes compared to udon because of its bouncy texture, but they're pretty different in my opinion, and there's nothing quite like it. We'll add the noodles to the pot and cook it for just about a minute or until the noodles start to float. And as a quick note, if you like your banh soup really light, you could blanch these noodles in a separate pot of water instead, because when it's cooked directly in the soup, some of its starches does release, making it a little bit more viscous. Either or is absolutely acceptable though, and is entirely dependent on your own preferences. And then it's time to plate. Now to our serving bowl, we'll pour in our soup along with the noodles and shrimp balls. We'll top that with our green onions, white onions, and cilantro. Then we'll arrange the sauteed shrimp on top. Finish that with some fried shallots and fresh ground black pepper. Feel free to add some Thai chilies or your favorite chili oil if you like a little bit of heat. And just like that, you've made an incredible banh tom at home. As always, the principal recipe is available on my blog for free at feedthepudge.com. And if you've made it this far, let me know in the comment section, what's your favorite meal to eat during summer? Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy.